Hey guys, Buff from Game Back today, bringing you a video, and today we're talking about Battlefield 6, or Battlefield as it's supposedly called, rumors, as well as some information that's supposedly leaked from the upcoming reveal trailer. Now, all this information coming from Tom Henderson over on Twitter. If you guys aren't aware of who he is, he's a well-known Battlefield leaker as well as Call of Duty leaker. He's been proven pretty accurate on mostly everything he says. He's got a very good track record, so it's obvious given his past leaks that he has somebody on the inside. And like all leaks, you want to take that with a grain of salt. However, for the most part, same with what the Gaming Revolution did. Everything really he said initially was proven one way or another to be somewhat correct, mostly correct. I would say 95% correct. Things obviously change over the development cycle. However, Tom Henderson on the Battlefield side, as I said, a very good track record. And what he said in his previous newsletter that I believe came out the other week. First, we'll just go over some initial information, and then really what came up in the trailer, or at least the screenshot or picture from the trailer that he's described over on his Twitter. So, to recap everything we know so far, Battlefield 6 is simply going to be called Battlefield. So, kind of similar to what Modern Warfare did, is going back and kind of just rebooting the franchise at its best state, that being Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and then they rebooted again, came back and just called it Modern Warfare. So if we look at Battlefield, we know as far as general interest in the most beloved game in the franchise and game's life cycle goes as far as player retention, Battlefield 3 seems to be that one. A lot of online graphs. I know Lucy has shown this a lot on some of his videos. Even though Battlefield 1 sold better, Battlefield 3 seems to be among Battlefield fans, and myself included, I've always preferred Battlefield 3 over every other Battlefield. So Battlefield 3 the most beloved, so it makes sense they're going to go back and call something Battlefield, and probably going to be more so heavily inspired from Battlefield 3 as well as a little bit from 4. And really what he describes that this game is going to be set at least 10 to 15 years in the future. So if we're looking at a release date for this year's Battlefield, somewhere around October, November 2021. So we're looking for the time period to be set somewhere between 2031 and probably 2035, somewhere in there, given a 10 to 15 year range from modern day settings. So that'll allow the developers to really take a lot of things that are currently in development in experimental phases within the military industrial complex and would be in fact implemented 10, 15 years down the road. So I think we'll see a lot of things, and he mentions a lot of things here too. However, when we're talking about weapons, I think we'll see a lot of these 6.8 millimeter Textron 6 Sauer, things like that, all these new weapons, all these new optics that are being developed. So we'll go into those type of things in a further video as to what to possibly expect from Battlefield 6 or Battlefield as far as weapons, vehicles, things like that. But really what he describes is that Battlefield is going to be a combination of Battlefield 3 and 4, but on steroids, and that's really when we're speaking about the multiplayer. So we can expect a good multiplayer, return to a good multiplayer, unlike kind of the letdown of Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, obviously, going back to a modern setting. Why not combine probably the two best Battlefield games in history, that being Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, for that online experience? And again, given the 10 to 15 year in the future setting, it allows the developers to really do a lot of new things versus what they could have done with Battlefield 3 and 4. They took some liberties with some gadgets, things like that. However, if you look at everything that's in development nowadays and would be implemented down the road, I think it really allows the developers to make something new and different from Battlefield 3 and 4. Some of the vehicles and things like that Tom Henderson references would be the Osprey as a transport vehicle. You have a Boston Dynamics robot, which is the one that mimics looks like a dog essentially. You have some new tanks, drones, fighter jets, new military armor that's currently in development, specifically some Russian armor. I know we've seen some images of that. I'll go into this and all this stuff in further videos as we dive deep into that. But talking about the trailer or at least a screenshot from the trailer that Tom Henderson describes, basically what he says is that, I think he just saw a screenshot or somebody passed him some information perhaps. He said that the trailer itself for the reveal will open basically showing an island, and when we see this island, he described the island, made some art drawings of it, and then he also drew up kind of a conceptual drawing of what he was trying to describe within the trailer. And really what that is this deserted island somewhere. We don't know where it is, whether it's Kazakhstan, some people were saying Vietnam, Hawaii, anywhere it could be located. We're not really sure of that, but what he describes as this deserted island that has a bunch of Ospreys and different types of planes and choppers kind of flying in towards an objective. You have some buildings here and there, some mountain ranges. You also have a bunch of rocket or missile silos, as well as a rocket that is being launched at the end of the peninsula. And then he also describes a clear sky, clear day, and then you have some sort of storm or tornado rolling in. So that kind of goes to the effect of the dynamic weather that we saw with, I believe it was Sharkey Peninsula in the Battlefield 4 remake of the map. I want to say it was Sharkey Peninsula. There was a few maps there as part of the old Battlefield 2 map packs, which came back, and one of them had dynamic weather where you would get a storm that would roll in. I think it was Gulf of Oman had a tornado or dust storm roll in, which really compromised the visibility of the map. It goes to that levolution effect that we saw in Battlefield 4, so whether or not this is going to be some sort of dynamic weather effect that we're going to see here. But really, again, what he describes is this island with a peninsula at the end where a rocket is being launched. You have some buildings, some other missile silos that you can see are being activated. And then you also have a bunch of Ospreys and different types of choppers and planes going in towards, probably to land, drop off troops, and stop something or engage enemies somewhere. So that's really what he describes in this trailer. And I'll show some of the art here on screen, basically what Tom drew. And then one of his followers kind of did a rendering of what he drew out and described, and it's actually a really beautiful looking rendering. It really gives you an idea of what he's talking about. You see the Ospreys coming in, you see this building in the center of the island, then way out on the peninsula you see a rocket launching, and then you also see further to the right you see some other missile silos or rockets that are probably preparing to launch. And then you see some sort of tornado or dust storm to the far upper right-hand corner of the screen, which seems to be rolling in towards this island, perhaps. Now, really what this reminded me of, actually, is a game called World in Conflict, which was only for PC, I believe. This was kind of a very similar to like a Command and Conquer type gameplay, only for PC. But really, the trailers for World in Conflict, if you guys aren't familiar, go ahead and YouTube it and just look at World in Conflict trailers. And there's one trailer in specific. They're all very epic, but one trailer in specific is the World in Conflict trailer, which is a New York City trailer. And basically what this shows is a bunch of Seahawks kind of flying troops in through New York City. They're preparing to land, going to attack some sort of objective, and you see a bunch of missiles start coming at them. Some of the Seahawks go down, and then basically it pans out to a shot of all these choppers and jets kind of flying over what is Liberty Island, I believe it's supposed to be, where the Statue of Liberty is. And basically the context of this game is that the Russians, at the end of the Cold War, when the Cold War was supposed to end in 1989, being the Russians were in a spot where the Soviet Union was about to collapse, desperately kind of invaded the United States into Seattle, New York, things like that, and started moving through the country. So in this specific situation for this trailer, the Russians had taken New York City, different spots, and here, what I believe is supposed to be Liberty Island, set up base and missile silos, and this is where basically the Americans, the Marines, were kind of moving in to try and take back this island. You see like a pan-out shot of all these choppers just trying to do evasive maneuvers and flare for all these missiles that are coming at them from this island. That's what really this image that Tom Henderson described for this trailer kind of really reminded me of. Is you have obviously one force, in this case being the Americans, going to attack an objective, which most likely held by the Russians, or in the case of the World in Conflict trailer would be the Soviet Union at the time. But again, you'll see missiles coming at the Americans, and they have to evade, trying to land, drop off troops. It really paints that picture that I think we want to see in Battlefield. At least for me, Battlefield 3 really had a gritty, realistic feel to it. So hopefully this trailer could deliver with something like that. And that's really, I think, as soon as I saw that image that Tom Henderson was discussing about as to what he saw in this trailer, and then you saw his rendition of it, as well as the artist's rendition of it, it really reminded me of this specific trailer from World in Conflict. Again, a PC game, and it's exactly what it reminded me of. So we'll have to wait and see. I think the Battlefield reveal trailer is pretty much right around the corner here at the very end of April or early May, before we have some EA earnings calls, and then obviously leading up into E3, we should obviously have gameplay, hopefully early alpha or beta announcements somewhere around those timelines. So I think we'll be able to find out whether or not this is true or not soon. But let me know down below what you guys think of this. Has anybody seen the World in Conflict trailers that I'm talking about, specifically the New York City one? Also, what do you guys want to see in the new Battlefield? Battlefield, I think, is going to be a really, really great game, which Battlefield always offers, I think, in my opinion, better gameplay experience than Call of Duty has. Just a lot more to do, a lot more to cover in that game. And I think a lot of balances and counterbalances, checks and balances essentially, that allow you to be very versatile in your gameplay. So that's why I've always preferred Battlefield. I think gameplay-wise, it's always been better than Call of Duty. Call of Duty is going to sell more, however, Battlefield, I think, is a much more enjoyable experience. Let me know down below what you guys think. What do you want to see with this year's Battlefield? Whether it's called Battlefield 6 or just Battlefield. Are you hoping for a modern or near modern setting? Or are you hoping for something else? Let me know down below. Till next time, this is Buckner Gaming, out.